The movie shows us that a woman named Mia gets trapped in a sealed container in the middle of the ocean. She gives birth to her baby alone inside this container. She has no water to drink and no food to eat, and the container itself is in very poor condition, as seawater is slowly leaking in. If she doesn't get out of the container soon, she and her newborn baby will drown. Basically, this is a survival movie. The film will show us how this woman manages to escape from the container with her child. To understand this, we need to see how she ended up in the container in the first place. Currently, there is a food crisis worldwide. The population in many countries has grown so much that governments are unable to meet the food supply and daily needs of their citizens. Therefore, governments around the world are implementing very strict rules regarding population control. One such rule is in effect in Sweden, where the government has started killing ordinary people to control the population. A new law has been enacted stating that pregnant women and children will be killed first because they are dependent on others and cannot work. Therefore, they must be eliminated first, followed by the elderly. This rule is truly terrifying, and we see the army carrying out shootings in various places, killing innocent people. There is a lot of panic in the country. We then see a couple, Mia and Nick, who are preparing to leave the country and go to a safer place by sea. Mia and Nick had a 2-year-old daughter who was shot and killed by the government. Mia is currently pregnant and doesn't want her unborn child to suffer the same fate as her first child. She wants her child to be born in a safe environment, so she and her husband Nick are leaving the country. They gave all their savings to a group that could illegally get them out of the country. Currently, Mia is sitting with her husband in a container, along with many other people, including several pregnant women. Mia is a little nervous, but Niku calms her down, saying she doesn't need to worry because she's not alone. Her baby is with her. Suddenly, the container they are in stops. Niku stands up to see why it has stopped. Then the container door opens, and many people suddenly start coming inside. The person who is helping them get out of the country had also taken on the task of helping other people escape. When the container becomes too crowded, the smuggler tells them that some people will have to get out because another container is coming and they will be taken in that one. However, no one listens to the smuggler, so he starts firing his gun and forcibly throwing people out of the container. In this way, he also throws Niku out. Mia becomes very frightened when she sees this, and then she sees Nick being put into another container marked with the number 107. Mia then calls her husband, who reassures her, saying, "You don't need to worry. I'm right behind you, and we'll meet at a port further ahead where we'll board a ship." Mia's container, which was loaded onto a truck, then starts moving. Suddenly, the container stops again, and when Mia looks out through a hole, she realizes that a police officer is about to inspect the container. Everyone immediately hides in a secret compartment inside the container, a place that couldn't be detected from the outside. But then a police officer enters and begins thoroughly searching the container. This officer was quite clever and tells the people, "It would be best if you came out on your own. We won't harm you. We're doing this for your own good. We'll let you go back alive." Hearing this, one girl falls for his trick and opens the door to the secret compartment. The police officer then orders his men to shoot everyone, cleans up the container, and sends it on its way. However, Mia survives, because when the police officer was giving his instructions, Mia remembered what her husband had told her on the phone. Don't trust anyone. Trust yourself and do what you think is best. Therefore, instead of trusting the police officer, Mia climbs onto a wooden box before the shooting starts. So, when the police officer opens fire, everyone else is killed, but Mia survives. Mia then tries to send a message to her husband and also informs Nick about everything that has happened. Many days pass, and then we see Mia's container being loaded onto a large ship at sea. And then we learn that this The ship was carrying many containers, and then we see Mia, who was suffering greatly from hunger and thirst. On top of that, she was pregnant, and she was constantly worried about her unborn child because she hadn't felt any movement for 3 days. Mia was very concerned that something might be wrong with her baby. She was also extremely tired, so she sat down to rest. But then, her eyes fell on a bag lying near some wood, which contained a drill machine and a mobile phone, things that could be useful to her later. But, as the saying goes, when it rains, it pours, meaning that troubles often come in bunches, and that's exactly what kept happening to Mia. Because Mia was about to face the biggest trouble of her life. It was nighttime. The ship had left its port and was in the middle of the ocean, and then we see a very strong storm erupting in the sea. Because of this, the entire ship started shaking violently, as if it wouldn't be able to survive in the middle of the ocean. The waves were so huge that facing them was like facing a massive challenge. Due to this, Mia's container fell into the sea, along with many other containers. As the ship was rocking, Mia was being thrown around inside the container, hitting the iron walls. She sustained several injuries. When Mia opened her eyes, she found herself in the middle of the ocean, with no other ships around. She was alone in the vast sea. She noticed that water was entering her container, and this water was coming from the holes made by the bullets fired by the police officers. This was another huge problem for Mia, because if she didn't get out of the container soon, she would drown. She then surveyed her surroundings and looked inside the wooden boxes in her container. She found that one container had empty boxes, another had branded hoodies, and another had earphones. Seeing all these things, Mia became worried again, but she didn't give up. She took off her wet clothes and put on dry clothes from one of the boxes. Then, suddenly, the atmosphere changed. She heard people screaming and shouting outside. She looked out in surprise and saw that container number 107 was sinking. Mia also started shouting in panic because she had seen her husband Nick in that container when it departed. So she called out to her husband Nick, saying, "I'm coming to save you!" But that was impossible because Mia herself needed help. She immediately took out her phone, which had switched off. She takes out her SIM card and puts it into another phone she found in the garden, and then tries to call Nick. Despite Mia's repeated attempts, Nick's call wasn't connecting. Mia was worried about him, thinking her husband was in the container and might not survive. Then suddenly, all the sounds stop because the container had sunk into the sea. After this incident, Mia is completely broken inside and almost loses all hope of living. She was about to take her own life with a knife, but then the baby in her womb, who hadn't responded for 3 days, suddenly kicked her, showing some activity. This rekindled Mia's hope for life, as her husband had told her she had to live for their future children. So Mia immediately decides that she must live. And for that, she has to do something to prevent more water from entering the container. First, she tries to seal the holes through which the water was coming in, but there were so many holes, and they were so large that it was almost impossible to cover them all. So she uses the airtight rubber seals from plastic boxes found in a wooden box to seal the holes, and takes a large pipe to try and slowly drain the water from the container. But there was so much water inside the container that she realizes she won't be able to drain it this way. Then Mia thinks that if the water can't get out, it would be better if no more water comes in. To record this, she takes a tape recorder and starts recording the water level day by day. Then Mia sees that she still has some food and water left in her bag, which she had saved for later. But then suddenly, she receives a call from Nick on the Nokia keypad phone. Mia immediately answers the phone, and when she hears Nick's voice for the first time, she is overjoyed. The reason for her happiness was that she thought Nick was dead. But Nick tells her that the driver, He had been dropped off along the way, so he couldn't get on the ship. Mia hadn't even finished speaking when her phone switched off, because her battery had run out. But then Mia started having stomach pains, which meant it was time for her to give birth. Here, poor Mia, all alone, gives birth to a baby girl with great difficulty. But the troubles weren't over yet, because Mia had nothing to eat, and because of this, she couldn't breastfeed her baby. Until Mia had some food in her system, her body wouldn't produce milk for her child. The baby was hungry and crying constantly, which was making Mia very frustrated. Then she thinks that she has to get out of this container somehow. She takes out the drill machine and starts cutting the roof of the container, but her baby wouldn't let her work. She kept crying. Mia tries to quiet her and eats the little food she had left in her bag. Because of this, a little milk is produced in her body, which she feeds to her baby, and the baby stops crying. She then understands that the baby cries because of hunger, so she drinks the water from the 2 bottles she has. Then suddenly, she finds a knife, which she tries to use to cut the roof of the container. She wasn't using the drill machine because its battery had run out a short while ago. Cutting the roof with the knife wasn't making things faster. On the contrary, it was adding to her troubles because she got many cuts on her hands. And then, her last remaining hope, the knife, also breaks. It means that one trouble after another was coming into Mia's life. She still had so many troubles that were truly countless, because she now realizes that her water is also finished. Her last remaining food is also gone. She is terribly exhausted, and there is no hope left of cutting the roof. To be honest, a mother is a mother. This survival film showed us that. And now she was also feeling dizzy and weak. Then she thinks, what's the problem with water? I have water. I'll fill it up and drink it. But then her mind alerts her that it's seawater. This water was not good for the human body at all, and Mia didn't drink it. Instead, she tried to lick the water that was dripping down from the top of the container, which had condensed from the steam. But that water wasn't good either, so she started vomiting afterward. Exhausted, Mia fell asleep, and now almost all of Mia's hopes were gone. But someone has rightly said that God helps those who help themselves and don't give up. And something similar was about to happen to Mia. Suddenly, the weather changed. Mia was in a deep sleep when 2 drops of water fell on her face, waking her up. She realized it was raining outside, and the water was coming in through the holes she had made. Mia immediately understood that this was drinkable fresh water and that she should collect it. Fortunately, she had some empty plastic boxes, which she used to collect the rainwater for drinking. Then an idea struck her. She took a rope, and using the holes she had made in the container, she tried to break the top of the container to get out. She successfully attached the rope to the top of the container and, using all her strength, tried to break the lid. And it worked. The container started breaking in the way she wanted, and for the first time, she felt the sunlight on her face. She took her baby out of the container and onto its roof. But her problems weren't over yet, because all she could see around her was water. But Mia still didn't give up. After coming out, she first changed her baby's soiled clothes and put on a new one, as she didn't have diapers in the middle of the ocean. She threw the soiled clothes into the sea and tried to catch some fish using an iron rod. But it wasn't going to be that easy, and she sat down, exhausted, because she didn't have enough strength left to keep trying. But then, she saw an airplane flying overhead. She keeps trying, and then she uses a mirror to signal an airplane for help. But she doesn't get any help because the airplane is flying at a very high altitude, far away from her. But Mia doesn't give up here either, and then an idea comes to her mind. She uses all the headphone wires to make a fishing net, and Mia uses it to catch fish. Luckily, a fish gets caught in her net, and then she eats her fill of fish for the first time. But her problems weren't over yet. She was alone, and there was nothing to occupy her time. She kept thinking about her husband. She tries to see the shore from the sea, but one night she suddenly receives a call from her husband, Nick. Mia manages to answer the phone with great difficulty because her phone's display was broken, preventing her from making calls or performing other functions. She hears Nick's voice on the other end. He sounds very happy and tells her that they have a beautiful baby girl. Then, Nick tells her that he's in trouble because he was shot while running away, and he's lost a lot of blood. He says he doesn't think he'll survive and asks Mia to forgive him. When Mia hears these words from her husband, she is heartbroken. She tells him that their baby is very beautiful and then talks to her baby about her father. Her husband didn't want to die, but time was running out. The phone's battery dies, and the call is disconnected. Mia is in deep shock because she loved her husband very much, and this moment was truly heartbreaking. Imagine a father who couldn't even see his own child, something he never imagined would happen in his worst nightmares, that he wouldn't be able to see his child or his family in his final moments. But one day, as Mia is sitting there, a bird suddenly lands on her container. Mia understands that there must be a shore nearby. She takes a piece of wood and attaches a plastic container to it to create a sturdy and safe raft, and then she places her baby on it. But Mia's troubles were far from over. She realizes that the holes she had sealed in the container have reopened due to the increased pressure, and seawater is rapidly flooding in. This clearly meant that the container would sink in a matter of seconds. Then Mia realizes that the photo of her older daughter, who had passed away, is still inside the container. She goes down to retrieve it, but another problem arises. Her foot gets stuck in the debris, and she can't pull it out despite her efforts. Before the container sank, she managed to get herself out of the wreckage, but as soon as Mia got out, she realized her baby had drifted away from her, which shocked her greatly, and she started crying. Just then, a shark appeared and splashed a lot of water into the air, which landed on her baby's face, making the baby cry. Mia then knew where her baby was. She immediately swam towards her baby, and they spent the night floating in the water. By now, Mia was hungry, thirsty, and couldn't bear it any longer because her body had reached its limit. She had been swimming in the water for a long time, which had weakened her considerably. Then morning came, and we see many birds flying near Mia's raft. When Mia was about to drown, she saw a baby approaching her, and the baby was there because it had fish. The birds had come to eat the fish. She then threw all the fish into the water so that more birds would come. And that's exactly what happened. A fisherman and his wife were catching fish in the sea when the woman noticed the birds. She wondered why so many birds were flying in one place and asked her husband to take the boat closer to them. That's when she saw for the first time a baby floating alone in the middle of the sea. She was surprised and wondered where the baby's family was. Then they realized that the baby's mother had drowned in the sea, and the baby was tied to a raft made of air-filled containers. When they pulled her up, she was completely lifeless. The woman tried to give her CPR and repeatedly tried to get the water out of her stomach with her hands. After much effort, the woman managed to revive Mia. Mia couldn't believe she was alive at first, but then she quickly understood that she was alive and safe. And in this way, that's how she saved her and her child's lives. That's why they say, friends, one should never give up in any situation. God helps those who fight against their troubles. So for more movie explanations like this, friends, please subscribe to the channel.